Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Catalyst Knowledge Transfer Series. I'm Saurabheshwar Sen, welcoming all of you once more to our endeavor to foster the spirit of social sciences by sharing free-flowing information, knowledge, as well as perspective of the emerging career opportunities in social sciences and the development sector. Catalyst, over the last 11 years, have been proactive in training, guiding, and mentoring students, aspirants, and enabling an ecosystem that paves the way for awareness, consciousness, and opportunities to delve into social sciences as a career choice for students from schools, colleges, universities, as well as working professionals. On a Saturday, which otherwise would have appeared to be one of the last days before the really hot month of May ends, things couldn't have got, I think, more warmer, because today we are delighted to present to all of you two speakers in our sessions who have been literally instrumental as well as the architect of the entire public policy space, public policy education in India. I'm really honored and very happy to introduce to all of you two of our speakers, Professor Aseem Prakash and Professor Arvind Pandey, both from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Aseem Prakash is the Professor of Public Policy, School of Public Policy and Governance, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Hyderabad. Aseem has more than 20 years of experience in research and teaching, which also includes a stint at the University of Oxford as a Fell Fund Fellow. Aseem has been instrumental in laying the intellectual foundation of the School of Public Policy and Governance, including designing the course curriculum in the MA in Public Policy and Governance program, PPG, as we call it, very, very sweetly at TISS. Before joining TISS, Aseem was part of the two-member team which established the first public policy school in India, the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy. Aseem was also invited by the UNDP and Department of Planning, Government of Maldives, to prepare a rubric for the first ever Maldives Institute of Policy Studies in Malé, Maldives. Aseem has completed over a dozen big research projects for various international and national donors. His research interests include the interface between the state and markets, regulation and institutions, sociology of markets, social discrimination, human development. Currently, Aseem's research efforts are focused on two research projects: regulation of small town capitalism and cities, social history, and Muslim entrepreneurs. His most recent books are titled Dalit Capital, State Markets and Civil Society in Urban India, published by Routledge in 2015, and The Indian Middle Class, co-authored by Surinder Jhokra, published by the Oxford University Press 2016. Aseem is a compulsive follower of political gossip and likes discussing it with people who can make sense of it. He believes that he would have been more contented and happy if he had pursued a career in sports. That is very interesting. We would like to actually contemplate on that point with cities and governance in this session today. Aseem earned his doctorate from Center for Political Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. We can't be happier to be with you, sir, today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for creating the time to be with us today.
Thank you so much for that very warm welcome and a very liberal and outspoken introduction. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, sir. Moving to our next speaker, Dr. Arvind Pandey, Assistant Professor, Hyderabad Campus, School of Public Policy and Governance, received his MPhil and PhD from Center of Study of Regional Development, School of Social Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Before joining TISS, he was working as a postdoctoral fellow at the National Institute of Urban Affairs, NIUA, New Delhi, on a project, Sustainable Healthy Learning Cities and Neighborhoods, which is managed by the GCRF, Center for Sustainable, Healthy and Learning Cities and Neighborhoods, University of Glasgow. This project is part of the international consortium of 9 research institutions of 7 countries. During his 3-year duration in NIUA, Dr. Pandey has worked on several projects funded by UNICEF, UNDP, ICMPD, and ICLD. He was also part of the research team providing inputs for the National Urban Policy Framework draft of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. Dr. Arvind has worked for UNESCO India as an individual consultant in 2016. He was also part of a team of transdisciplinary cluster in Jawaharlal Nehru University, in which he has worked on 2 projects titled Transformative Pathways to Sustainability, Learning Across Disciplines, Contexts, and Cultures, sponsored by the International Social Science Council, and Urbanization and Sustainability in the Era of Globalization, Emerging Scenarios in Southwest National Capital Region, sponsored by the University Program of Excellence. Dr. Arvind's academic credentials include a scholarship to attend Population and Development Institute in 2014 from Brown International Advanced Research Institute, Brown University, USA, a gold medal in the university for the first rank in MA, and a senior research fellowship to conduct research in population studies from the University Grants Commission. Arvind sir, we can't be more delighted to be with you today in the session, and we look forward to truly understand from your viewpoint the emerging perspectives around cities, governance, and our society through our discussion. Thank you so much once more, both of you, for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. So to start the session, this is like an open question on behalf of the audience also, and we would like to also keep it open to each and every participant, that feel free to share a question, at least on your chat box. Doesn't really matter how early we are in the session. So sir, by sir, I'm referring to both of you. It's been noticed not of late, but at least in the last decade, that from our specializations when it comes to academic qualification, which earlier used to be majorly based on foundational subjects like political science, history, geography, whether it's in commerce or science, physics, chemistry. We are now noticing definitely over the last decade, or if even more than that, degree programs, postgraduate programs, academic programs are being molded and designed based on experiences, quote unquote. By experiences, I would like to explain this to all of you. Like say, for example, we always used to read about climate change as a phenomenon, right? Till we created climate change as a course itself. We always knew that environment is where we stay, we survive, and then we have environment as an integral part of specializations that we find now like a big sort of sought after program. Now coming to this really intriguing and apparently very futuristic program, Cities and Governments, I would like to know from both of your end that what was the thought process when this behind designing this program for our students, keeping in mind say the emerging opportunities across the market. If you would like to maybe pinpoint some of these thought process, because students, they constantly think that how relevant the program is, or will that program be at par with our traditional programs. So if you would like to talk on that point a little bit for everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for this, Sareshwar. And thank you all of you for joining this session. I'll start with a very simple statement that the programs across the globe, not only in India or TISS, are conceived after a very due deliberation about both the felt and actual needs which is there. And when I say about the felt and actual needs, they are not merely intellectual and academic requirements, but also a professional requirement. And when programs are able to satisfy the intersection of academic and intellectual curiosity and serves the professional requirements of the demand, that's the best framework for a successful program. And now, having given this premise, I would like to put forth for your understanding why cities. That's the primary question. So there have been program on urban policies, there have been program urban governance. Why cities and governance? That's the primary question. Now, as you might have understand that with the fast-paced urbanization, the governance of cities are acquiring a different form. So it's no more a traditional kind of governance. The cities' governance are acquiring a different form because of the change in the economic structure, change in the investment pattern, change in what one says about the expectation of the citizens from the city. So that expectation revolves around mobility, it revolves around leisure, it revolves around what city has to offer in terms of residential places. So it's the expectations of the city. So if you want to, I'm sure many of you might have noticed there is a meme which has gone viral which says that thank you Bangalore, I don't need to use second, third and fourth gear in my city. That itself is a reflection of congestion, and that has strike a chord with the citizen. And why it has gone viral? Because it is able to strike a chord with the citizens of the city. So and that's why there is a completely different kind of demand which is emerging from the cities. Even when the government frames a program like Smart City Mission or they are floating several parastatal bodies to govern the cities. Parastatal body means that the bodies which have emerged to govern certain parts of the problem. It can be congestion, it can be environment, it can be lakes, it can be any one particular sector. So there are specific bodies which are coming up. So when they're coming up, they require people who understand the city. And our claim is that the city could be understood through 5 different parameters, 5 different dimensions. I beg your pardon, parameter is the wrong word, dimensions. And if those 5 dimensions are catered to, both not at the intellectual level but at the practical level, that creates a professional which can facilitate both the public and the private sector in governing the cities. Those 5 parameters are A, that you need to understand, you need to have a very comprehensive understanding of institutions which govern the city. When I say institution, it is not about merely the urban decentralized institution, the 74th Amendment. I don't mean only that. They are very essential, they are critical, I am not denying that. But there are spate of formal and informal institutions which help in governing the cities, ranging from the institution which collect taxes, which govern your transport, which govern your leisure points, which govern parks, which govern lakes, which help you to raise resources, which attract investments. So the institution is one set of study area which has to be very critical. The second set of area is about the planning. How do you plan a city? So most of the courses which are there will not wed the understanding of institutions with the planning. So the planning, how do you plan a city? How do you plan your informal sector? How do you plan your parks? How do you plan a parking spaces? How do you visualize the city 30 years hence? So these are the planning, the aspects of planning. This is which we want to conduct in the city labs. The third is an understanding of data. When we say data, this is not about only micro data but also about big data. The way you understand how the city evolves, the way you settle what is the future of the city, how do you predict what is going to be your city like in the next 30-40 years. So these are which you call city analytics. So this is the data becomes a part of the city analytics, that you are able to bring up model building about not only the future of the city but also understand the current of the city. The fourth dimension is the city finances. Where does city earn? What does city earn? Where does it get its revenue from? And how does it spend? This is a $1 million question. one of the most common understanding, if one of the myths of the cities are that cities, the municipal bodies are often poor because people don't pay property tax. Property tax is the biggest revenue. That's the biggest myth. If you do a proper data analysis, do a data analytics, build the models, you will find that it is the governments which don't pay the property tax to the municipality. Be it police, be it the hospitals, be it the secretariat, they don't pay the taxes to the municipalities. So how does city earn and how does city spend? That's the biggest, one of the very critical questions. And last but not the least is how do you how do you manage a project? Suppose you are working as an urban professional and you are said, okay, design a project and manage it, that how will you govern the parking spaces? How will you govern the leisure spots? How will you create a city which has less congestion or a green mobility? So these are projects, these are questions which has to bring in the aspects which we have just discussed: institution, planning, data and finances. So this course is developed around these 5 domains, which we very strongly feel it's not merely intellectual curiosity or an academic discipline, but it is at the intersection of practice, and that is what it makes it unique. The other part of this cities and governance has a very, very unique trajectory, that it is in collaboration with one of the institutions of the Ministry of Urban, with the Central Union Ministry, the Central Ministry of Urban Affairs, and this is called National Institute for Urban Affairs. It is a think tank, an autonomous think tank, which works for conceiving and planning the urban development programs for the Government of India. So what the course offers you is to work on government projects for 3 to 4 months, and that's what we call the capstone projects. That's what we call that you learn by doing. So your class teaching, which are very, very practical in nature, though located in theory, are further reinforced by 3 to 4 months of practical training at various government projects. Thank you so much. This is what I feel, and this is my introduction to explain why cities as a course is very relevant in the current episode.
Thank you so much, sir. Good. Arvind sir, want to add any point?
Yeah, most of the points we have already covered. So Aseem has already covered. The only thing which I would like to add further, that most of the courses, if we go through, which offer the study, any kind of study on cities, they are either on planning or data specific courses are very rare, but planning specific courses are there, which talk about the urban planning. And then there are certain traditional courses, mainly in the realm of economics or geography. But when it comes to integrating several factors which are prerequisite for future city, let's say if we want to train the professional for the city in next 20-30 years, which will be very complex as compared to the current situation, because see, over the time of period we have, like, see, within 10 years we have from 35 metropolitan cities to 52 metropolitan cities, and the projection suggests the further addition. So you need the professional which not only have the knowledge of planning, but the various factors which integrate into the planning. So the planning with the data, planning with the theory, and in theoretical aspects also, several dimensions, that not only plan, but how you can sustain the plan which you are making. So you need the knowledge of finance. So that's why the various 5 dimensions which sir has already discussed are the essential component of this program, and it provides a holistic way of understanding cities. So that's why it's very unique.
Right. Okay.
Saurabh, if you allow me, can I just say one more point to it?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Most welcome.
The idea of the cities, when we imagine our future of cities, it's also what we say that they are part of an imagination which thinks about, when you use these 5 dimensions to imagine a city, it is about inclusive environmentally resilient and a gender just city. So, and which we call a caring city, which we term as caring city. So, one of the besides these 5 very technical dimensions, these all 5 technical dimensions are embedded in a perspective which throws up an understanding of inclusive, gender just, and environmentally resilient city. That's what I just wanted to add.
That's an important point, sir, you mentioned, because I was just coming to this entire realization to ask all of you, both of you, that quite often we hear, from different, different citizens that, this city is too fast for me. And, this entire concept of being very fast, a lot of times, it might also indicate not just, being fast in terms of, them failing to catch up with, say, a pace of the city. As you mentioned, sometimes, it also, a lot of people feel that they cannot find their groove within a city. So the inclusivity factor which sir highlights can be, I think this course will definitely help us to reimagine that factor, because we quite often, hear these in our planning phase also, that, if you go to the city, you have to really work very hard. Otherwise, it's very difficult to cope up. Sometimes what happens is that coping mechanism becomes very it's very unique to that specific individual or a community's social, cultural, or even sometimes economic location. Keeping that in mind, I would like to ask another question, which we have already been hearing from quite a few enthusiastic aspirants. That is this program being delivered completely from Hyderabad, or since we have NIUA from New Delhi also supporting the program, so is there going to be like a distribution in terms of the location of classes or training, if you would like to highlight on the logistic front?
There are 2 programs to us. One is a 1-year diploma, which can be offered, which can be completed in 2 semesters, that is 1 year, or it can be offered over the period of 2 years when you are required to finish your credits in 2 years. That is the first aspect. Second is a degree course, and the diploma course can be offered both as a regular student as well as an online student. Okay. Whereas a 2-year degree course is a residential compulsory course. You have to be in Hyderabad for all 2 years. It is not an online course. Okay, so it is a full-time course where you have to be, it is not offered online. Now, when it comes to what is the division of responsibility between NIUA and TISS, since we are collaborating together to offer this course, NIUA's expertise comes in to work on the field, to work on government projects, to give you access to those projects, to help you understand when you plan something for an organization, so you cannot yourself become an expert in planning or finance from the very first year. So they attach you to some senior person where you are actually designing, for instance, say Itanagar. So the value of NIUA comes there, where you are attached to NIUA to work on a live project. Besides that, and there will be some faculty from NIUA who will be teaching this course, but they would be from Hyderabad. How can a social entrepreneur get some idea to innovate in the sector? Aman, that's a very, very interesting question. First, let me see. Have I answered your question, Sareshwar? Should I go to the next question?
Yes, you can absolutely go to the next.
Yeah. Let me come to the question in the chat box. Aman has asked, how can a social entrepreneur get some ideas to innovate in the sector? See, for a social entrepreneur, to my understanding, you should have a very comprehensive grip over what the city demands, which direction the city is growing, which trajectory city will require certain private interventions. Let me give a very simple example. If you think that you have a plan for a city which will work round the clock with major presence of women in the workforce, then you have to plan a transport. It doesn't matter how safe or unsafe is the city. Even this Hyderabad is a very safe city, but I've stayed here for almost 8 years now. I haven't heard of any crime against, a very very serious crime against women. It's as good as Mumbai or Calcutta for that matter. So, but at the same time, you require those transports when the women workforce has to come back at 2 o'clock. I'm just trying to give an example. So you have to plan a city which grows in a particular direction, and what challenges which it can throw up, and those challenges, whether they could be met by public intervention or a private intervention. Social entrepreneurship is by and large a private entrepreneur, whereas space is created by a public policy. A public space created by a public policy, but at the same time is a by and large a private intervention which helps you to plan the city. Take an example, TISS runs a very very successful program which is called iCall. iCall is the people who are in distress, mental health in distress. They can just make a call to a particular number for a specific kind of counseling. This is a social entrepreneurship. It runs on a model which it does not charges the client, but it does raise money from somewhere else, because eventually you have to pay to the people who are working around the clock. It's a social entrepreneurship model. But this is what you have to imagine, to which direction the city grows. And to understand that city grows and what should be the future location also, not only where the city grows, what is the form through which the city should grow. That is also a question which you have to imagine, and that is what this course helps you to understand through the understanding of finances, institutions and planning, that this is the direction in the city grows, and that's where you can innovate. I don't know whether I was able to satisfy your curiosity or not. I see a hand by Kanishk. You want to ask something, Kanishk?
Yes, Professor. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible.
Professors, I would like to ask a sort of a linked question. Firstly, how do we go about in making our cities more people-friendly? And secondly, do you believe that there is a certain movement towards a more focus on cars in Indian cities, as opposed to what we would understand as a walkable city or a pedestrian friendly city?
The answer is embedded in your question itself, the way you have framed the question. What is a people-friendly city? Very simple proxy indicator is that where you don't have to look for a pedestrian crossing. That is a people-friendly city. What is an inclusive city? Inclusive city is not only about ability of various genders to work in the city, but is also a city which helps you for the people who are physically challenged. Provides you the mobility. Recently, our school completed an audit, which is called audit to understand how friendly is Hyderabad to the people who are not, who are physically not as fit as the most of the population. So whether they have ramps, whether they have, what are the public spaces, what are the amenities public spaces provide, that's one dimension of the friendly city. Another dimension of the friendly city is that whether the city provides enough opportunities to every, and I'm expanding the definition of the friendly city, where the city should have an opportunity for every class of population to earn a dignified living. That's also a parameter of a friendly city. So by and large, the planning of the city is what I think, what you have also indicated, is that it is done in a very very ad hoc fashion. There is no understanding that what should be my city like 30 years hence, 50 years hence. So and most of the planning is I'll just come back to it, Ankit. The friendliness of the city is about, not merely about investment. the parameters which we have decided, that how much investment can the city attract, how investment friendly city is, then you only work for the capital, not for the citizens. So then you have a portion of the city which is very good in amenities, but the most major part of the city would be not so friendly. There's a question. Not read it. I wanted to know how the governance in public administration different from public policy and governance program. I didn't get your question, Ankit. Can you just?
Okay, so I think while Ankit reframes his question, I would like to ask Arvind sir, because we are aware of the extensive experiences that you have gained working in the urban space, urban policy space also. A question which is asked quite often is like, last 2 years of the pandemic, and now we are looking forward to economic recovery. Cities are quite naturally, trying to take the lead, and we have also a citizen governance program. While we are also thoroughly aware, sir, that a major part of our country are not within the scope of the cities. Now, do you think that the citizen governance program would also enable that balance or equilibrium in our economy in some format? If you would like to reflect upon those points.
Indeed, very interesting question. See, the one myth which I would like to break, that when we say that our country is not as urbanized as any other country, if we compare different countries, there comes the point, there comes the understanding which we would like to develop. See, how you define the city as per the administrative definition, that makes the differences. And across globe, there are various parameters which are used by different countries. It is believed by World Bank and some other agencies also, especially if you go through the global human settlement layer of European Union, or let's say one index which was developed by Uchida and Nelson by World Bank. So we are almost more than 50% population lives in one or other form of the city. Okay, the only thing, and we call in urban sector, we call it unacknowledged urbanization. Okay, so largely, see, the one of the major issue which is there is that there are certain area which has the urban features, but they are governed by the rural areas, rural governance system, which we call census towns. And then apart from the census towns also, there are certain areas which are generally in the periphery of any big metropolitan cities. They contains the feature of urban area, but largely they are deprived by several amenities and services which are there. Okay, so the first very important thing is to understand the that which are the settlement which can be included in the city, and what could be the methods through which we can identify the characteristics which are there, which differentiate the rural and urban area, or the kind of services, the kind of amenities, the kind of other planning aspects which are needed for the cities. Okay, so adding to the what Professor Aseem has already suggested, that two important things. One, that need of every citizen, and second is the aspiration of the every citizen. So these two are very important factors, and these factors can be acknowledged through the perspective of what kind of city we want in future, first thing. Second thing, for creating that system of cities, a system of cities in future, what kind of information we need. and that information how we can analyze. So there comes the data part, the city analytics, and visualization also, because that is the essential component of data. When we are seeing the city analytics, basically visualization is the integral part of the city analytics. Then comes the, even if you have a very good approach or very good premise to plan a city with a good data sense, but to sustain that project, to make city more sustainable, you need finances. So what kind of and traditional finances sources, let's say the taxation or intergovernmental transfer cannot be the only way through which we look to finance the city. So what are the alternatives which we have, and what are the lessons which we can learn from the from across globe, including the global north, and we can adopt those new instruments of financing which are adopted by cities. And lastly comes the actual problem, that what are the ground realities. So once you want to understand this thing through the projects in which you will be involved, you will be understanding the current situation, and then including all the knowledge which you have acquired across three or four dimensions, you will be implementing those dimensions to create the city which you envision to fulfill the need as well as the aspiration of the city dwellers.
Right, sir. Okay, great. Another question which many aspirants have been asking, and we've been receiving these inquiries since the time the program was launched, is that if you would like to highlight the fact that for the first cohort, which we are possibly planning, to start off from the same academic year, for aspirants, what are the different steps? Because they have seen some of the selection criteria. There are certain questions like, anyone who has already appeared and qualified the TISS net, and maybe they are appearing for the other 50 master's program that the campuses offer. Are they eligible to reapply for this course? And if they want to reapply, if you would like to just kind of highlight the different steps involved to be part of this program.
Arvind, you want to answer that, or should I?
Sir, you can go ahead.
Yeah, let me take 2-3 questions which are there. See, first is that Ankit want to ask that how different is public administration than studying public policy and governance. Public administration is an archaic discipline which only believes that the government is the sole player and the only player in the domain of having social and political changes to be ushered in through public policies. The idea of public policy is that there are so many other players and actors in the domain now that you need to understand all the initiative more comprehensively than ever before. So it is not the study of government, though study of the government remains a very critical element. Second is that Hyderabad there's some direct message from Sumit is that is offering the course for the first time or not. So see, this School of Public Policy and Governance offers a course which is called Public Policy and Governance. Okay, and it is works on a concentration, and one of the concentration is urbanization. So urbanization is the cities and governance is a very, very natural evolution from the concentration of policy and governance on urbanization, where we want, and because of the demand which have emerged, both intellectual, academic as well as practical demands for the professionals in the game. So we have evolved. It's a very natural evolution from the policy area concentration of urbanization to cities and governance. For instance, that for the past several years we are taking up themes which are based on urbanization as a part of policy area concentration, both in regulation as well as in urbanization PSCs, but that we were not able to cater to the demand which was there. and hence this was a specific program which was launched. And no wonder, the moment we thought about the program, NIOA was the most eager to collaborate with us, because NIOA is a body which requires almost 200 to 300 professionals every year to be deployed in various urban projects. So they never wanted to miss the bus, and that's how we got into this collaboration. And it's a very win-win situation. We are not saying, please don't misunderstand me, that we are not doing any favors to NIOA. In fact, both the institutions are going to leverage their own strengths to ensure that the country we are able to meet the demand which is emerging in the country of a city professionals. Coming back to TISSNet, the TISSNet is the pattern of the examination for the TISSNet would be the same, but you have to take a different TISSNet. The earlier TISSNet which you have taken will not work for this program. The TISSNet is on 19th of June. The pattern remains the same. There's a mock test which is given, which if you go to the ARS website, you will get the mock test there. The pattern remains the same. It will be a proctored exam. You can take it from anywhere you want. It will be a proctored exam. Proctored exam means that you can use your own screen, but the way it is conducted, you cannot switch between different screens, or you cannot bring another help from anywhere. That's how they are able to scientifically manage it. So there's a proctored exam on 19. This would be followed by, and for international students, there's an international component. We are expecting a lot of international students who are applying for this program. What they would be joining, they would have a different exam because TISSNet is specifically made for Indian students. The second part is that you will have a OA, the online assessment program, which we call, which will have a same pattern but different content. The pattern remains the same, that there will be one extempo followed by a 15 minutes to half an hour interview, but the content would be focused on more the subject area rather than being a general content of a policy nature.
Right, thank you so much. I would like to also understand, since we are offering the entire discourse in two formats, the diploma course as well as the 2 years master's degree program. What could be the decision-making points for someone who is looking at the course in terms of whether they would like to go with a diploma program, or whether they would like to complete a residential 2 years master's? If we can have a little bit more clarity, because for the first time within a course, we have two formats and also two modes of delivery, if I'm not mistaken. The diploma program has the virtual format of delivery. So if it becomes like a decision-making situation for an aspirant, what could be the factors they might consider in wanting to select the mode of delivery and the structure of the program?
Okay, so to respond to that query, the diploma program can be offered both in regular as well as online mode. It's not only online. So it can be offered in online as well as, and that specifically helps to get a foreign students enrolled in the program, because who are not willing to travel to the country to pursue it. Now, why should you choose a diploma program and why should you choose a degree program? I think that's the substance of the question, is that degree program is largely catering to people who are absolutely fresh from undergraduate program and who are switching from a traditional discipline to a professional discipline with a job prospects. They have come from sociology, they have come from various different traditional mathematics, biology, various traditional disciplines. So what is it? First I will explain what is the difference between two programs, and then I will come to what is then I'll go and answer. So difference is that the degree program specifically caters to you to understand the methods of research. That is the first thing. Methods of research on cities, they are very specific, specialized field. That is the first aspect. Second aspect is that it helps you to understand sectoral development plans, which is not part of the diploma program. What I mean by sectoral development plan is that in a diploma you may able to learn what is the regional plan, what is the development plan for the whole city. But if you're asked to plan for lakes in the city or informal sector in the city, so there are sectoral plans which are part of this, and degree program will almost have one semester spending on the 1 semester of time which will be spent with on a live project. That is the critical difference between a degree and a diploma program, because NEP, the National Education Policy, mandates that all PG degrees now which are offered new should have 1 year as a research and practice component. So this is the future of education in India, what we are offering right now. We are very quick to adapt, but within the couple of years, between 2 to 5 years, you will find that this model is adopted everywhere. This is what the NEP recommends. This is the future of the PG programs in India, where the second year is exclusively devoted for methods, for instruments of research, to practice, to undertaking detailed long capstone project, not of 2 or 3 weeks in nature. Now about the diploma program is largely suited for people who are who are already working somewhere, who have some experience, or who have an understanding of one aspect of the program. So you know urban finance very well, but urban finance does not give you any idea how will you plan a city. No, it doesn't give, or it doesn't, or you have done urban governance. You know about the institutions very well. You have no idea that how will you plan a city, where will you get the money to run the city. So these are the programs. The diploma programs helps you to integrate the 4 dimensions which we have just mentioned, and that would be largely suitable for people who have some experience or have some understanding for the urban areas. It is not be suitable for the fresh graduates. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you so much. Arvind sir, any points on that note? I mean, not only from...
No, I think it has been covered. Okay.
Yeah.
And we are just, as sir has already rightly pointed out, that see, in the diploma program also, we are offering the planning aspects through our city lab, but that is limited to the development plan, okay, and regional plan, which is essential component for any urban professional to understand. And the extension part, the 3 sectoral plan, which we are introducing in the second year, will be the part of master program. So that is one difference which is there. But largely in the diploma program itself, you will be able to cover most of the planning aspects also, because we have several papers also in different dimensions, which cover the case studies, which will help you to understand the city, okay, and understand that how different plans are linked in the city. So it is not that if you are doing a diploma course, you will not be able to understand the sectoral plan. Obviously, the city labs related to these sectoral plans are part of the master program. But in diploma programs also, through case studies, some aspects of these sectoral plans would be covered.
Right, sir. I was just about to ask, after the outcomes of the program, Aman possibly asks Arvind sir a similar question. He basically is trying to understand the placement opportunity, if we can put it a little broad thing. So if you would like to talk about this bit.
His question. Okay. See, first of all, the kind of experiences which are essential for getting job, we are skilling you in every single manner. So let's say this course not only provide you the perspective toward different dimension of the city, but also the different tools which are required for the future urban professionals, which include the advanced city and basic and advanced city analytics also. Second very important factor is that you have the first-hand experience working with the live projects which are there, because we are collaborating with the NIUA. So NIUA is part of this program, and as sir has already explained that those who are going to pursue the master program, they will be spending at least 4 to 5 months with NIUA in the different kind of projects in which they are involved, and they are involved in variety of projects. So it will cater the your personal understanding, your personal area within the broader urban sector. Let's say you are interested to work in the urban housing, so you can work in the PMAY project. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana urban project. You are more interested into the digital. So given your background and the interest which you have developed over 1 year of the courses which you have attended with us, in the next year, in the second year, as per your interest, any kind of live project in which you will be involved, and the working with different stakeholders, the planning bodies, the institutions which are involved in handling those projects, and that makes your networks also. Okay, so by that way also you are ahead of any other students who are attending the planning courses or any other courses in this sector. Why? Because see, you have all the essential components which increase your employability. Okay, and apart from that, I would like to inform the participants that we have very good track record also, and not only that because of the TISS name, the different organizations come here because of the kind of training which we provide our students, the kind of knowledge our students have. Because see, ultimately they have to appear in the campus placement, and they perform excellent. We have very good track record. So it's very much, I would say that there is ample scope for any participants or any applicants who is applying for this program. And second part of this question is, see, anyway, for the as you all are aware that recently Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs have appointed a 5-member committee precisely because of the acknowledgement that we have not enough number of urban professionals who can plan and manage cities. So this is the recognition which is acknowledged by the government of India also. And in future, having this kind of degree will provide you enough opportunity both in public sector as well as private sector. And along with that, other international bodies also, because see, UN Habitat, UN, several other, initially, if you see the reports of UNICEF, it was generally focused towards the broader issue of, let's say, adolescent health or maternal health. But now, if you notice, last 2-3 years, urban specific reports are produced by these international organizations, precisely because the shift towards the issues which are there in the urban area. So I'm sure that having this kind of degree will give you the enough opportunity in the future also.
Right. I think thank you, sir, for that clarification as well as like a pretty much crystallization in terms of the opportunities which lie ahead. One final question I would say, at least from my end today, and after that we would like to wrap up the session, and we can also take a couple of more if the participants have on their minds. For someone aspiring to be part of the program of cities and governments, what would be the different faculties in terms of any knowledge, skill, or competency that might be prerequisite in that individual, when they are, say, appearing for the selection rounds, but most importantly, even while making the decision, how could one, kind of identify those areas, the knowledge sets, which they would expect could be tested, they would be required to reflect upon to be part of the program.
Sir, would you like to answer, or shall I go ahead? Sir, you are muted.
I'm just copying the link where it is explained very well that what is the test like. Just give me 30 seconds.
And in the meanwhile, to answer your question, see, we want the students, there is no prerequisite for this course, not at all, okay? The only prerequisite we want that you should come with the open mind of learning, okay? So like in our previous experience, with my previous experience, I can say, like, let's say various time you have the apprehension that you don't have the previous knowledge of statistics, and then your course demand a heavy statistics or something, some prior knowledge. But see, this course has, we have designed several papers here which start the foundation also. So there is no prerequisite which is required, prior knowledge of statistics or prior knowledge of programming or anything. We starting from the foundation. The only thing which we want from our students is that the eagerness of learning, the participation in the classroom, so that you can maximize the knowledge which is provided by any particular instructor. Okay, and believe me, in our previous experience with the PPG course, we have the students who come from humanities backgrounds, and once they complete the course, they are the best one who are able to handle any kind of data. Okay, or let's say can explain the concepts and theories related to particular domain, or we call it PAC, which we have, which they have attended. So, so there is no such prerequisite which is required for this particular program. The only thing is that your interest in the urban area, your interest to gain the knowledge in urban area.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. One thing that came to my mind, because of late I've been interacting with some social organization, non-profit organization working in urban spaces. Many of them are working on certain behavioral projects connected to water, sanitation, and hygiene. I would just like to ask a question from there on their behalf, because many such organizations, they require, in terms of an upskilling mechanism, to be part of a cohort or a program which can fine tune, starting from their development leadership qualities to, creating more finesse in the way they're implementing project in urban spaces. We are also noticing, sir, many social organizations who previously used to work in maybe non-urban settings, if I can use that term, are considering, with maybe the nature of funding or the nature of partnerships, delving into urban spaces nowadays also, and working in pockets across cities. Like back in Calcutta, I know many of these collectives who are working there. How effective could be like a citizen governance program in terms of an upskilling mechanism to, say, a social organization? I would like to complete my series of questions on that note.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is an interesting question. Let me first pick up few questions. Sumit has again written, Aseem sir, can you please elaborate on the scope to earn livelihoods after this master program? I think that was answered by Arvind partially, and I had also written it in the chat box what the way it means. But to answer it very quickly to your since you have raised the query again. See, first of all, should be very clear that our mandate is to equip you with those skills which will give you a job. We are not a job placement agency. We are a university. Our mandate is to ensure that you have the skills which makes you intellectually and professionally relevant. That is our primary mandate. Having said that, it is also in the interest of the university that you land up with a decent job, a good job, so that the relevance is retained. And that relevance can only be retained if we equip you with skills which are required in the market, which are required outside the university. So those we can assure you that you will have those skills. But having said that, let me point out various people. Our School of Public Policy and Governance has a very good track record in employment, and their range of employment depending on where you want to get employed, which employer you want to work with. So the opportunities range from grassroots organizations to becoming a consultant with the government, with the city development departments, with municipalities, joining international consultants like Pricewaterhouse, KPMG's. Bulk of our students are working with those four consultants in the currently. Then you have besides that you have provisions you can join international organizations. We encourage a lot of students to pursue foreign degrees, go for a PhD degree either in India or in abroad, because we personally feel that higher education doesn't stop after PG, a PG degree. You should always. So there are ample of opportunities. I don't think opportunities should be a botheration for anybody thinking of this course. What you should be bothered about, whether you have the requisite passion and commitment to meet the expectation of the course. And that is what is the most critical part, where you need to work towards the vision which the course has, and that requires a lot of commitment. Thank you so much. Now coming back to the question which you are asking about, the answer which I just gave is also partly a response to your question also. What one is saying that there are skill sets which are learnt while pursuing this course, both from the faculty as well as substantial part of peer learning. Whether it's about communication, whether it's about social commitment, whether it's about very simple visual. Arvind spoke about visualization of the data, which is a very, very essential skill. Now you may have a very, very complex big table which will make no sense to anyone until unless you put it in a 2 by 2 inch decent diagram. That is a part of your communication skill. So these are the skills which are required for a policy professional, whether they are working in the city domain or they are working in the rural domain. So these are the soft skill which we call. We have specific classes. Like I'll tell you one very interesting fact, that many of the urban born and brought up students who have gone to the best of the colleges, they feel that they know English very well. That's not incorrect also. They know English very well also. But how to write a language of policy and the academic language, they don't know. So we have specific classes for them. Initially, many of the students will not like to attend the classes because they come with an understanding that they have a command over the language. It's only when they write the first set of tutorials when they point out that your English, there's nothing wrong with your English, but this is not the language which you will communicate to a minister. This is not a language you will write an academic article. So there are specific classes for which we call academic English and policy English. Now we have a set of classes which we call policy practicum. Policy practicum is about that you have understood everything, damn thing on the earth. How do institutions function? What is the problem with finance? What is the problem with institutions? You know everything. But knowing everything until unless you are able to communicate in a language which the policy requires. So that's called policy practicum. So where you specifically learn how to write a policy, how to design a regulatory institution, how to design an intervention. So these are the skills which are there, which you require. So I have written it in the chat box also. We have a Telegram group. I have given the link. Anybody can join there. We try to respond to all the queries which are there. There's a email also. CG Arvind, just can you copy that email, or I'll copy it. cg.secretariat@tis.edu. Anybody can write an email. We'll clarify all the any other queries or any further things which you need to think that we haven't answered, or you didn't ask because you forgot, and that can be again done later. So I'm pasting I have already pasted the
I have pasted that email address also.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Arvind. So this is the email ID there. There's a Telegram group there. There's a website there. There is if you go to the website, you can download the brochure. You will notice our International Board of Advisors, who are the people who are the best in working or best professional in the cities. You have any further questions, there is a telephone number also given on the brochure. You may contact them. And Sarveshwar, you have been a fantastic host.
I am so glad we could do this. I mean, I must admit, not considering the fact that, amidst your academic commitments, to take out time on a day itself, and definitely a session where we are looking forward to a template that will provide us a more stronger sense of security with caring cities. I think this is one of the word of my sessions, that I'm going to take back. How do we create caring cities? For of course that we need caring professionals who are trained, equipped, skilled, and competent to foster spaces for caring cities. Thank you so much, Arvind sir. Thank you so much, Aseem sir, for all your inputs, for your perspectives. Thanks a lot, participants, for being here, sharing your queries, and we would certainly encourage all of you to look forward to this program. It looks a very, very well-rounded program, and certainly the response that we were looking for after certain changes that happened, not only say with our public health, but also very importantly with our education policy. So this is not the end, but as sir mentioned, the email IDs, the contact details are all there. We would love to support all of you with any more suggestions or ideas, and definitely look forward to see many of you, if not all of you, be part of Cities and Governance master's degree as well as post-graduation diploma program by TISS hybrid. Thank you so much everyone for your time. Thank you so much, Aseem sir. Thanks a lot, Arvind sir. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks to all the participants. I am also posting a link which takes you to the brochure of the program, if anybody wants to look at it. Have a good evening, all of you, and all the very best.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for being here. Thanks a lot for participating.